So guys, welcome. This is the first edition of the live training we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. If you guys haven't had a chance to get your WordPress up and running, that's all right. We'll just, you guys can go back and watch the replay of this, or, once you get your WordPress up and running, if you want to follow along. So once you've installed, there's two, let me jump over to the back end of the course, just so you bring you guys up to speed. So if you guys have made your account and been able to log in to the back end of the course, this is what you'll see when you first log in. So your training to be able to get your web hosting is up on here on the right hand side under web hosting. So purchasing the SiteGround account is the first thing to do, and then setting up a temporary IP, which I've recommended just people jump in and ask the support team that. And then if you haven't had a chance to look over the templates, you can do so. So just go down to the templates, and you can jump over to here where I'm hosting the templates. So as it sits at the moment, the three that are under charity are the ones that I'm recommending you guys use, just because I've optimized them and I've gone through them myself and kind of created these over the last couple of weeks. So if you want to go ahead and choose one of these, you can have a bit of a look on here, what they're going to look like on your desktop, and then on a tablet, and then most importantly, what they're going to look like on a mobile, because that mobile traffic has just surpassed website desktop traffic at the moment. So more people are looking at your website on a mobile device than they are on a desktop. So it's super important that we're going to optimize the website for mobile device. So if you've gone ahead and done those couple of things, I'm just going to give you guys a bit of an overview into WordPress and Beaver Builder tonight. And then I'm also going to probably go and re-record some of these for you and then put them in the membership site. So that way you can just find it when you need certain assistance for certain, when you need assistance for certain tasks. So they'll all just start appearing under here, under different categories. The next one's probably just going to be the WordPress overview, and then we'll just start kind of chunking it down from there. So I'm going to start at the very beginning. So if you're brand new to WordPress, once you've got your login details and your temporary access for your temporary IP, just go ahead and log into the back end of your WordPress. And from here, what we can do is you're greeted with a whole bunch of different activities, and at a glance, how many posts you've got, which is up here. You've got WordPress events and news. You got WordFence, which is your security system. So if you went ahead and downloaded one of these templates, I've gone ahead and installed some additional plugins, so you guys don't have to go ahead and do that. And if you don't know what a plugin is, it's fine. I'm going to show you and kind of explain how that all works. So that's what this is, that WordFence. That's your security plugin. So the first thing that I typically do, most of this I don't ever pay too much attention to. So up here on the top right-hand corner, you have an option saying screen options. So you can go ahead and basically de-tick all of these. It's not going to turn it off. It's just a matter of displaying the activity logs. So you can go ahead and just turn them all off. And you can keep the welcome one if you want, or news. You can customize this how you want, but I'll probably keep it here because you can add a page and add a blog nice and quickly. So you can just, once you've customized it to what you want, drop that back up the top. And then from here, I'm just going to go from the top left-hand corner and just kind of explain what everything does and what everything is. So the top here, you got your little home thing. Now it says clean. So this is just a clean install that I was using to load my demo sites on. So once we change the name of your website, that's going to reflect up here where it says clean. So if we change that to Untapped Shores or some of the other nonprofits that we're working with, whatever you name that, it'll kind of change up there. So to visit your website, you can just go straight to visit. I'm just going to right click it just so it opens in a new window. So that's you're just going to visit your site, and then from there you can navigate around. Now you know you're logged into WordPress when you're on your website because this dark bar up the top here is the dead giveaway. So that's your control panel for when you're on the back end of WordPress. So I'm just going to jump back into the back end. So I'll be referring to this is the back end of WordPress, and then we'll refer to the actual pages as the front end. And we'll get to that in a little bit more detail. So going down the left-hand side, we have your dashboard. So that's the home. So that's this page. We have updates. So if you, any of your or if you need any WordPress updates, this is where it can get done. And your plugins will tell you if you need updating, and your themes. And they'll be, see where this little 2 is on the SEO. When you need updates, that'll give you a little notification saying you've got a few updates to do. So working our way down, we have posts. Okay, so there's 2 kinds of pages. You have pages, and then you have posts. So posts are your blog posts, and we'll get into that probably next week, setting up a blog. But that's what your posts are. So if you were going to add a new post, or you needed to come and edit, you just come to post, and then you can go to add a new post. If you are sorting it by categories, we can get into that when we actually go and set up the blog. And the tags that you put on the posts. So we'll just keep it simple for the moment and keep going. Next one down is your media. So any kind of media that you have, whether it's images, video, audio files, PDF downloads, it's all going to end up here. So we can kind of just drag and drop straight into here if you wanted to add a new image. But I'll show you that when we're going to go ahead and do that. But this is where you'll go and find anything. So if you needed to link a PDF, you can come here. You can click on these because each of these images actually has its own URL, so its own page. So if we copy and paste that into this window, it's on your website, and it's just that's all it is. It's just its own page, so it has its own kind of unique URL. So moving down, media library. Yep, that's kind of it. If you want to add new, you can either do it through here or just back in the library. Now, WP Smash is a WordPress plugin that we use, and I'll explain the plugins when we get down there. But this helps us reduce the file sizes of all our images that we're going to be using. So I'm going to jump down to pages. So the pages are right here. If you need to go and edit the pages, you can either navigate from the front end to that page and then get into the edit mode, or if you come into the back end, you can just go. So each page has its own little menu system underneath it, I guess you could say, where you can edit the page. You can do a quick edit, trash, view, or page builder. Now I'll explain all this again in more detail as we kind of go and create a new page, but that's kind of just the overview of this. So there's not a lot of editing we really do in here. Again, I'll show you or break down the page structure as we kind of get into it. Um, so, okay, comments. So if you are running a blog, this is where you can control all the comments. You can approve them before they come onto your website and appear. You can, get rid of them. You can mark them as spam. That's all kind of done in here. Now, appearances. This is where you're going to have all your different themes. So WordPress runs on different themes, and we are using Astra. But as you can see, the active one is actually Astra Child Theme. So let me just explain this briefly for those of you who don't know. A child theme is basically an extension kind of the master theme. So the reason we use a child theme is when Astra go ahead and the developers there do a big update, and if we're just using the Astra theme and we had some custom coding or some custom stuff that we put on our site, when they do a big update on the main theme, if we were just using the main theme and we weren't using a child theme, whenever they did an update, sometimes all that stuff gets overwritten and we'd lose it all. So what we do is we use a child theme, and the main theme just kind of filters into the child theme itself. So you got to have both of them on. You need the master theme to be able to use the child theme. These other themes, if you guys want, I'm just going to actually get rid of these. So you can just click on the theme details, come down here to the bottom right, and just delete them. These are the standard WordPress themes over the last few years, 2017. I just get rid of them just because we're not using them and we won't need them. So that's kind of right here. You can get in and customize the theme here, widgets, menus. We're not going to do any of that, and we're not going to do it from here when we do. So this is where you will update your theme. Depending on when you downloaded your theme and put it up, you may or may not have a little icon or notification to update your theme. And if you do, just go ahead and update it. If it's not, for some reason, if you don't have the activation key, just drop me a line and I'll send that out to you. Or better yet, once you guys make your SiteGround login, please just go ahead and email me the details. Just going to turn the heat off. So if you can just email me the login details, and then that way if I do need to go and activate something or have a look at an issue you guys are having, I already have it there and I can just jump in nice and quick. So going back to appearance, next one down is customize. So this is going to kind of take us to the front end. And I'll run through this quickly, and then again we'll really dive deep when we need to use it. So this is where you can change the theme, but please don't. Well, unless you really want to go use a different theme. Site identity this is where we can change our logo, and we'll get into the two different logos. There's one there for your regular screen, and then there's one there for Retina displays, which is for Apple and high-res devices. This is where I mentioned your site. The name of your site you can change here, and then you can change the tagline. So the tagline will appear in the top taskbar. So we can change both of them. And then the site icon will be, if you can look up here and see these little favicons, they're just these little icons along here, and we'll get into changing all them when we need to. So your layout, again, this is just going to be the width of your website, which we're just going to leave as default. Header. So this is where we can go and change our header or make it a sticky header, so when we scroll it sticks to the top. That's where we can make it transparent. Whatever we need to do. Blog, this is just going to give you some details on how to change your blogs and settings on your blog pages. Sidebar, again, none of the websites I've created have a sidebar. If you really want to use one, we can go ahead and activate that. But I just think, again, with the amount of traffic coming from mobile devices, sidebars are kind of a thing of the past. If you have a blog and you have a lot of different pages on your website, it can be better to help navigate, but I think it's something that we're seeing less and less of. Footer. So the footer is obviously down here. So we have all different controls and widgets for the footers. I'll explain them again when we need to. Scroll to top is this little icon down, this little icon here. So as we scroll down the page, instead of scrolling all the way back to the top, you can just hit that and that's going to take us back to the top. So that's how we can kind of customize that in there. Colors and backgrounds. Again, we will get into this. I'm going to do a little bit of training on the colors and the typography tonight. And I'm probably just going to put that in the course just so when you guys need to go and use it, you can. So this is where we can go and just change all our base colors, which would be obviously this yellow and the very dark gray. Next one down is headers. I think did we do headers? Oh no, this is for colors and backgrounds. So again, yeah, this is just going to be so we can change the different colors and text up there. Content, blogs, again, we'll go through all this as we need to. Typography. This is where we're going to spend a little bit of time either later tonight. I'm going to shoot this video as soon as I'm done with this live. And that's where I'm going to show you how you can go and set up all your typography. And then that way, it's all going to be the same throughout your whole site. So depending on whether you're using, a header 3 or a header 4, we just spend a little time now to set all that up because it makes it a lot easier for when we are going into the editing process. Okay, so this is where we can, for the typography, for the buttons, again, when we go and set up all that, we can go through here. For the blogs, again, for the font that you're going to use inside the blogs. The buttons, so we can have default buttons like these ones here. So we can go ahead and create some of these. So if we want to just create a default button, we can. And these will be the parameters that it will use. Menus, so this is your top menu here. At the moment, we have it set to primary menu. If we wanted to go ahead and create a different menu for there, or I know that I'll be creating a different menu for down the bottom here, but this is where we can control if we have different menus that we want to have appear in different places. Okay, widgets. Your theme has 8 widget areas. Okay, widget areas are basically little placeholders, and they're kind of little modules. So this is a widget, and at the moment this widget is actually it's an image. So down the bottom, I'll kind of explain widgets a little bit more in depth when we start building out the footer. But that's where we would find our widget. Home page setting. Okay, so depending on how you structure your website, whether you are structuring it just for a blog, as a blog content page, that you can have your content dynamically changing at the on the front page, or whether you have it as a static page. Static page is definitely the most commonly used, and then we can put a couple of blogs on the front here if we want to. That will then dynamically change after you update your blogs. So, and then any additional code, there is some code that I've put in here. There's some code that I've also had the Beaver Builder team add in there for me. So if you do have any issues and I'm not around to help, or you want something a little bit more custom that we're not going to go through in the course, again, Beaver Builder and the ultimate add-ons for Beaver Builder will you'll have access to their support team. So you can just shoot them off an email, and if there's something that you want, like a custom, something more customized, they will help you with basic customization, which you'll find that all in here. And this is what I was mentioning with the child theme. If we weren't using the child theme and Astra did a big update, that's when we could potentially lose some of this stuff, which would then just break our site. So that's kind of it for the customization on the front end here. So if I close this, all right, so taking me back to the back end here, where we're at custom widgets. Like I mentioned, I'm going to explain the widgets. Next one down is menus. So this is where we will control and set up our menus. Like I mentioned, you can have several different menus on your website. So if you were going to go the sidebar, you could have a sidebar menu. Typically you have a different menu for the footer, just because if you have 20 pages, you don't really want to list 20 pages down the bottom here. So you can just create a menu of your most, where you want to drive your traffic to and draw attention to the most. And it's all set up in here. Super easy. We can just basically adding and subtracting, and then you can just move these around up and down depending on the order. So that's that. I'll get into that when we actually go and set up a menu. And as we add more pages, so when you add a new page, you have to assign it to a menu and assign it to where you want it to go. So we'll cover that. Okay. This is, so the theme that we're using is Astra, and I've used probably 7 or 8 of the top themes, and all the big monster themes that they've got out there, and this is by far the best. And it's the best for a couple of reasons. It's super fast, and with the new this new era of drag and drop builders, particularly with Beaver Builder, which is actually what we're using on our sites, it's much a lot of these mega themes, they have so many additional things in them to actually be able, so you can go and create your pages easily. So with the era of these drag and drop builders, a lot of the stuff that themes used to have to put in, they've kind of been able to cut them out because of the way the drag and drop Beaver Builder in particular is set up. So we don't really have to have these huge, big, heavy themes anymore. And that's why I like this. It's nice and light. Again, I've seen that this isn't active. So if yours isn't active, just let me know and I will jump in and activate that for you. But a lot of this are just some extra add-ons. And because you guys are using my account and my agency theme, you're going to get all these additional add-ons. So that's cool. Depending on what you need, you can turn them on and off. We'll go through them all as we need to. I'm just kind of giving you an overview tonight. So again, the page headers is an additional Astra setting. So if you want to get a little bit more fancy with your headers up here, add 2 menus, a couple of extra buttons, phone numbers, whatever you may want to add, we can just go and throw them all in with this like a header builder. Okay, custom layouts. Okay, so at the moment, the way your website is set up is, and I'm going to dive into this a little more with straight after this when I show you the page builder. So the way your website is set up, you have, this isn't a good one to show you on because you have your header, which is this basically here. So anything in this white bar is your header. So you typically have a logo, a menu, and that's usually it. A lot of places used to have their social media icons up there. They used to have a ton of extra stuff in there. But again, you know, with the websites becoming a lot more simplistic and, you know, you want to be able to drive people down your website. So if you put your social icons up there, they click off there and then they're kind of off your page and they get distracted and they're gone. So it's always a good idea, and that's why I think it's becoming more and more common, is to put your social media profile buttons down the bottom. So you've got them along here. So they used to be nice and big and dominant at the top, but it's something that's kind of, again, it's trending not to have them so much up there anymore. So what I was mentioning, so this is your header up here, and then at the bottom, anything in this grey bar, including this secondary grey bar, this is your footer. So what we can do is there's everything in the footer and in the header is controlled by the theme itself. So that's controlled by Astra, or if you used one of the other mega themes, that's what mainly those themes control. So they control a lot of the settings in here and the customization and the ability to have different things up here in your menu or your footer. Now, again, with the ability to be able to build things with page builders now, this drag and drop system, this is becoming less and less relevant. So what we can actually do, we can use the page builders to build out our footer and then assign that footer or assign that design that we've done as a footer. So for example, you know, if you come to custom layout here and we open up this is our footer. Okay, and then if we go into the editing mode, we can go ahead and just edit any of these elements and then save them. And then we assign this design into a certain, so the custom layout allows us to assign certain designs into certain areas of our website. So if we click on the edit here, and down here where we have layout, all right, so down here where we have layout, hooks, we can, so it's using it as a hook. If we assigned it just to the footer, it would do the same thing. But at the moment we've got it going down to a hook on the footer. So that's what the custom layout allows us to do. So if, again, you have different options as well, you know, all these different options. So if you wanted for an example, a sign up form on your blog, and you wanted to have it on the bottom of every single blog page or every single blog post that you do, you can create it and then come in here and find where we could assign that, and we can find the footer of a blog. I'm not sure exactly what it's called in here. We'd have to go and look for it together, but that's kind of what the custom layout allows us to do. So if you're ever going to build a new footer or something, come in here and build it in your custom layout, and then that way you can assign it to wherever you like. Astra sites, that's where we can load in some of the other demo sites. Editor, again, I wouldn't even go past this if you don't need to. This is so if you were going to go and edit the code of the actual theme. So probably most of you stay away from there. All right, so now we have the builder. Again, kind of similar to what I was just mentioning with the custom layout. The builder here allows us to build savable templates, basically, that we can use throughout. So we can build entire pages or a row or even just a module. So at the moment, all I have is I have a test button in here, which isn't even, it's not even in there. So again, I'll talk to you guys about if you guys want to make custom templates. So any saved rows, you can see I've actually got a saved row. So this is what I had saved. So if I wanted to use this in anywhere else on my website, I can just load that in my builder. And the save modules, that's just going to be that. It should have been that button, but that's all right. So plugins. All right. So with WordPress, you have the ability to load in thousands of different plugins. Not recommended. I'm very, very picky with what plugins I put in on my WordPress because it can sometimes cause confliction amongst each other, and then things may break and they might not work as well as they should. So the idea is to keep your plugins to an absolute minimum. Only put it in if you absolutely need to, but obviously there's a need for some of them. But I would just go ahead and not put in a plugin for something that you could do with either the Beaver Builder or or if you have to put some code in for your Facebook pixel or something like that. I'll show you better ways to do it rather than adding more and more and more plugins. So at the moment, this is the top one here is what comes when you load it from SiteGround. I've got it deactivated because it's mainly just to protect against comments on your blog. So whether you are going to have comments turned on or off on your blog is completely up to you. It just depends on, I guess, how much you can actually monitor them. So if you do have it on, we can activate this. Your all-in-one WordPress migration is what you used to load up this. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and deactivate that and delete it once you've installed your theme that you're going to use. So you have to deactivate it before you delete them. So just deactivate, and then you can come and just hit delete. The less you have in here, the better. It's just, the less things you have going on your site, the better. Premium sites, that's something that I was using to help build some of the sites out. Astra Pro is, so even though it's part of the theme, it's an actual plugin that allows us to have some of the additional modules like the header and some of the other stuff we'll go through. So Beaver Builder plugin is basically, it's going to be our primary plugin really, because that's what allows us to build our pages in a drag and drop system. So we're going to be using that and keeping that. And keeping them up to date is extremely important as well. As soon as I have an update, I would go in and update it. Some of them you can have turned on to auto update. Some of them you can't. Hello Dolly is just a plugin that WordPress actually loads up when you load in WordPress. So I'm just going to delete that. Okay, so we have SG Optimizer. That is part of SiteGround, and that's optimizing for speed on your website and a few other bits and pieces. So we will keep that on, and I will show you how we use that towards the end of our training. Now we have Site Origin Widget Bundle. Now this is something that's just recently been added to the Astra, some of their templates. Again, the widgets give us just a few different. They're kind of like plugins within themselves. So they're like little widgets they might be. So you can put an Instagram feed, or you can put an icon or an image somewhere. Again, I'll show you how we use these widgets. Ultimate add-ons for Beaver Builder is the other big plugin that we're going to be using. So I'm just going to jump over to Beaver Builder. So on Beaver Builder here, this is the drag and drop system. So I'll show you on the front end, but this is the core builder that we'll be using. And then there is a add-on called Ultimate Add-ons for Beaver Builder. So in this is what gives us all these really, really cool extra modules and we can go through them. But these are the ones that are going to give you, like cool counting windows. It's loading a little slow. It's probably just because I have so many different windows and tabs open on my computer. And then, within there we have all these different ones. We have info circles. So this is what gives us all these additional little kind of add-ons that we can use for our site. So, the next one is WordFence Security. It's a free security system for your website. I installed it immediately for you guys. So as soon as you install your WordPress, you're going to have that. It's there. We'll go through that. Really, once you activate it and put an email in saying, email me if there's any, suspicious activity, you probably won't even use it. Like I said, once we turn it on, WP Smash, again, that is the plugin that we use to help reduce the file sizes on our images. And then Yoast SEO is a plugin that we set up all our SEO. So that's our site engine optimization. So that's how we, actually I need to put a sitemap in here. So that's how we go ahead and tell Google what pages we have, where they are, and when we share them to Facebook, what gets shared, what image gets shared, what text gets shared. So we have a lot of control over. The when we share out images or when we share out a page. So that's something I need to add to share. Okay, so. That's pretty much for plugins. When we need to install them, we can come down to add new and add them in here. And we can search for them, or you can actually upload them from a file as well, depending on the plugin. Sometimes you can't find them in the kind of the store here, but then you can just upload it anyway. Again, this is where the widgets are. So some of these widgets are, like I mentioned, you've got your button there, you've got your Google Maps, you've got your images, you've got your post carousel. Now, this site origin is very similar to Beaver Builder. It's sometimes a lot easier just to use and put in a widget rather than trying to put in a module from Beaver Builder. So that's why we're using it on here. It's just like I'd mentioned, it's especially in the header and footer, sometimes it's just much easier to throw a widget in there than trying to build out something in Beaver Builder. All right, so users. So if you guys are using the demo sites, as soon as you load up your demo site, you're going to be taken. I would recommend coming to the user and setting it up. So when you loaded up your demo site, it also loaded up the user profiles that I had set up. Now, this is just a test email address. I do monitor it, but the first thing I wanted you guys to do is get in here, add a new user, and add yourself basically. Username, I always use my full email address just because it's easier to remember. And then you can use your email the same. First, last name, website, I don't even put any of this in. You may want to put your names in if you are going to be doing blogs, because that's going to be your author's name. Put your password in, add user, and then what you need to do is just make sure you got the email confirmation, and then you're going to have to go log out. So to log out of your site, you just come up to the top right hand corner, log out, log back in, come back to users, and then please delete this test one. Okay. It doesn't matter if you don't, but it's just if you if you're only using this test one and you forget your password or something and you're trying to reset it, it's just going to go to my email address and I'm not going to be able to help you out there. So go in, set up your own user. All right, tools. This is just for importing and exporting websites. If we wanted to share some custom pages that we make, we can get in here and share them. In settings, all right, this is where, again, this is just another place where you can change the site name, your tagline. This is if you're going to have a membership area, new user default role. So each person has a, I probably should go back to user. So each user has you can assign them a different role. So depending on what they need to be doing in the website, where is that? Oh, okay. So I would have to go to, and if I'm going to add a new one, so down the bottom here where it says role, subscriber, SEO manager, SEO editor, contributor, author, editor, admin. So this is where you need to decide who gets what control. If you are setting up the website yourself, obviously you need to be an administrator. And then if you have people who are going to come and just maybe contribute like with a blog, I think the contributor role will be enough for them, or author. If you're going to have an editor, so if they're going to come in and edit pages and stuff like that, set them up as an editor. So it's always good to have one or at least two administrators. So whether you just set yourself up and then someone else in your office, even if they're not ever going to log into the site, just give them an account. So if for some reason you lose your password and you lose access to the email that you signed up with, you've just got someone else who has access to it. So back to settings. Site language, your time zone. So when you have blogs published, what time zone they're going to be in, date format, time format, stuff like that. So, and down to the next one is writing. So this is where, so when you go to make a new blog, whether it's going to be an uncategorized, orphan help, education, we will talk about that when we set up the blogs. And then default post format will be, again, that's whether it's going to be a standard. I'll probably stick with standard and then we'll make a couple of templates that you guys can load up. I wouldn't worry about any... Okay, I wouldn't worry about any of this. Reading, this is just for if we were going to have a dynamic blog post at the beginning of our site instead of like a static page. This is where you have a bit of control on how many posts to show and stuff like that. Just some settings for the comments left on your blogs. Media settings, this is where if you wanted to go ahead and change the different media sizes, so the different photo sizes, I would just leave all this to default. Okay, permalink settings. When you installed your new demo site, you should have used a post name. But if you really want to go back and change it, by all means go ahead. But I would just recommend for SEO and just common practice, stick with post name. Okay, now UABB. This is the ultimate add-on for Beaver Builder. So again, I thought I had registered all these before sending them out, but it doesn't look like I have. That's all right. Just send me your login details and I'll go in and activate these for you. You can still use them unactivated. It's just you need them to update and for support. So don't stress too much. We'll get it done in the next day or two. So this is where you can just go and do your licensing, general options, modules. So I just have all the modules are turned on at the moment. Templates. So with inside even though I've given you guys a demo template, if you wanted to go and start building out your own additional pages, or if you were going to have a landing page for a special event coming up, you can jump over. You can view them all here, but all these you can find over at ultimatebeaver.com, and then you can come to page templates. And you can view all these. So even if you decided that you wanted something a little bit more simple than the demo websites that I gave you, if you wanted to load up one of these, just go ahead and load this up. I'll show you how to, but you have the option. So these are all just pre-built pages. They're not full websites, they're just individual pages, but you can glue a whole bunch of them together if you wanted to and make a whole site. And there's hundreds of them in here. So, you know, there's different landing pages. Oh, I think that's what we're on. Different landing pages. And then you've got contact pages. About pages. So they have all the different pages. They're just not all kind of glued together as a neat demo. But if you saw a part of a module, like part of one of these pages that you thought, oh, I really want to make that, but I don't know how, I'm going to put that on my site. You can load in one of these pages and then just get rid of the other stuff. So if you were going to build out some frequently asked questions, which I'm going to put. So if you're going to build out one of these, you can just load all this in as is. So that is in that section there. Icon font manager, we don't need. Again, this is just branding, but don't worry about any of that. So next one is our page builder. So this is our Beaver builder. This is what makes it so easy to make awesome websites. Again, just your licensing, different modules, post types. So what you can actually build with Beaver Builder. For some reason, when it comes out of the box, it doesn't allow you to edit posts. So you like your blogs. So you have to go in here and turn that on. Beaver Builder also have some templates that you can use. They really don't have a lot. And when we get into the training, I'm going to show you why I avoid all the different Beaver Builder modules. They have a few, but there's not a lot. And that's why we use that's why we use Ultimate add-ons, because it just gives us a lot more variety of different different modules that we can use. Okay. User access, again, this is if you were going to just lock it down and have, if you're going to have multiple people on your website, you can give them different access to different things. Icon settings, these are just icons, so they have like preloaded icons that we can use. Tools, you know, you got the clear cache, debugging mode, which hopefully you'll never have to use, and uninstall. So next is our Yoast SEO. So again, not going to dive too much into this until we're ready to use it, but this is where you can just set up all your optimization for, we can set up our Google verification. We can set up our sitemap in here. So it's just basically telling Google what's on our site and where they can find it. WordFence, again, this is to keep our site nice and secure. I will dive into this when we need to a little bit more. And then we got the site optimizer. SiteGround optimizer, which is again just to help with keeping it safe and sound. So that's pretty much it on the back end. Do you have any questions? If you've got any questions, you can just type them into the box or just yell them out. Alright, so I am going to dive in and do a quick crash course on in the actual editor mode. That took a lot longer than I thought, so I'm not going to bombard you too much. What I'll do is I'll probably break this down into a couple of sections tomorrow, just so it's not so overwhelming. But I will keep this section as the general overview, and then I'll just I'll break down this next section and put it into the membership site. So we can go up to the top left here, visit site, visit our website. Okay, so like I had mentioned, the way this is set up is your header. Let me just grab a drawing tool. So this section here is your header. That's controlled by Astra, the theme itself. So anything inside this, we go into the back end of Astra, okay, and set that up. And realistically, we should set this up once and then never really have to touch it too much again. If you're going to change the menu, that's done in the back end in the menu section, and then all that we need to do, then WordPress will just assign that menu to where that needs to be. So we have that section is controlled by Astra, the theme, okay? And the same with this. Anything in this footer here, it's controlled, well, theoretically it's controlled by Astra, but we can also build it with Beaver Builder, our drag and drop builder. So all this stuff is all controlled with with Astra. So if we were going to go and edit the home page, which is what we're on, let me just clear all this. So if we were going to edit anything on the home page, we come up here to Page Builder, hit Page Builder. Hoping I don't have too much stuff open that is going to make it too slow. Alright, so now we're in our page builder, and you can tell that by this additional top menu. So you got your little beaver up there. He's telling us we're on the home page. Well, Beaver Home, sorry. And then on the right hand side you have your drop down menu, and this is where all your fun and exciting elements are that we can use across the site. So I'm just going to show you how the website's laid out, and then we can go in and start looking at some of these different modules. So the site itself here, I'm going to find a row here. So the website is set up in rows and columns. Okay, so as you can see, this is a row here. Anything inside this blue box, if you can see, that goes right around this light grey box, that's one row. So we can actually hit that, and then that's going to come up with our row settings. So what I'm going to do is actually let me change the color. No, let's change it to yellow. Okay, so now we know that anything in this yellow box here, that is in this row. That's one row. And then in this row, we have columns. And this has 3 columns set up in here. Okay, even though there's nothing in this middle one, they're just using it as for spacing. Okay, so what we can do is, before you guys play around with this, if you want to go ahead and get into this editing mode, and then before you play around too much with any element, what I do is come up here. So you've got You got your controls for each row. So you got move, where you can move the whole row up and down the page into a different section. So I can plonk it down there. I'm going to try and put it back where it was. So when it goes blue, you can drop it there. Okay. So that's that little tool there. And then you've got the next one, which is the little wrench or spanner. Open that. And this is where you have a lot more controls, and we can change backgrounds and colors, but we'll go through that in a minute. This one is the one I want you guys to use. So go ahead and duplicate that row. So if you completely mess something up, it's cool. You can kind of go back to the default. So you can use this duplicate button on rows. You can use it on columns, and you can use it on individual elements. So if this button here, even though this is a row, you can just duplicate this button right here. Okay. And then the one next to it, well, hang on, let me show you. The one next to it here is the settings, but I'll show you that. And then that X is delete. So let me show you that second one from the end. That's edit columns. So honestly, I think this is probably the most confusing part of the builder. And once you can kind of get your head around this, you'll be able to master this builder with ease. But this is the most confusing part of it, is the column settings. So you have your row, and then you can drill down to your column. So if I come to my column setting, anything in that column I can change. So this column has a width. It has the ability to do equal heights, which I'll get into when it's a better example. The content within this blue box here, I can center it, and I can send it to the left or the top or the bottom. Okay, so I can center this. Now it's not a great example because it's just an image. But let me go back to it. Column settings. Yeah, so this is where if I wanted to change so each column I can either put a background, I can put a photo, I can put a gradient there. So it's set at the moment, it's got this photo here. It's got a photo in it. But even though I can go in, so I can go back into the column settings, and if I wanted to, let's change it to orange. So that's just going to change that part. So that column, so you can really see, now you can really see that it's, you've got your rows and then you've got your columns. Okay. And then you have inside the columns, you have your modules. Okay. And this module just happens to be a photo. So to reset that, I can go back to columns. You won't really use columns too much, particularly if you're going to stick to the themes and if you're going to be using pre-built templates. They've already gone ahead and set all that up. You'll just be changing the text and the images or whatever, like a video or buttons. So you can just change that. So in here, these are all your preset colors. So to add your preset colors, I was going to do some training tonight, but I'm just waffling on far too much and stretching this out. But what I'm going to do is show you guys how to go in and set up your color palette. And then you can go in here. So these will always be here. So you don't have to keep putting in the different color codes, the hex codes. So once you do this once, you can go ahead and save this. So I will show you that. So that's basically the rows. So we got the rows, the columns, and then, like I said, in this, if we click on this, this is going to bring up, this is an info box. Okay, so when we bring up an element, where it says UABB info box, that means ultimate add-ons. And like I was mentioning, that I try and not use too many Beaver Builder add-ons, because the ultimate add-ons, which is from this website here, which is you have all these elements inside your builder. So when you click on up here to add a new, you have these groups. Now you have these standard modules, you have WordPress modules or WordPress widgets, which is basically just the same thing as a module. Again, these are if you were going to be using WordPress as WordPress without a builder. We'll probably never use any of these. So the standard modules are the ones that Beaver Builder comes with. So you have photos, separators, button, videos, different tabs, pricing tabs, call to actions, call outs. I'll show you the best way to view all these is actually just go to the Beaver Builder website. Oh no, let me just. So I'll show you. The UABB modules, they're the ones we want to use because there's so much more customization for each one. Even though, a photo in Beaver Builder and a photo with the ultimate add-ons, it's still going to display the photo, but it's going to give you a lot more customization. So what I mean by that, it's going to allow you to align it to the left or the right or the center, and you're going to be able to do that on mobile device. You're going to be able to put captions there. You're going to be able to make it link off to somewhere else. So when you go to add a new module, I would always use this drop-down menu, click, and then have a look at the ultimate add-ons for Beaver Builder. And these are all the modules here. And what I was saying, that one of the best ways to get familiarized with them is to head over to the ultimate add-ons for Beaver Builder, go to their website, and then just click on the modules and then just work your way through these, and then you can have a good look. So this is where we were. So the info boxes are going to be a pretty popular one. Info box, no, it even says popular. So your info box, these are all the additional things. These are all the different things that you can do with that. So you can make it look like this, just like an icon. You can give it a full background. Info box here. You can put photos within that box. You can put a image in the middle and then just have the infos around it. You can have these full width info boxes. So there's all different variety of these. Now you can go ahead and get into the so I think this is an info box. Yeah. So once you go into an info box, this is where you'll find all the different customization you can do. So you can go in and style it exactly the way you want, or what you can do is load up one of the templates or the saved. I'll show you how we get that into Beaver Builder, but that's kind of that's why I like to stick with those different add-ons, because they have so much more flexibility. So
Yeah. I tried pulling the demo content using the all-in-one WP migration, and I get the file loaded in, but it just gets stuck at 32%. Any thoughts there?
sorry, what was that?
Yeah, so I got the template loaded into the all-in-one WP migration tool.
Okay.
I load in the import file.
Yep.
And it gets stuck at 32%.
Oh, okay. That's happened a couple of times.
I tried two of the files you had uploaded, and both of them are doing that. The one got stuck at 20 something, and this one got stuck at 30%.
You're using your temporary IP that did SiteGround set you up?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
What I might get you to do is ask them to give you a new one, and then try it on there.
Okay.
And let me just finish up this bit of the demo, and then we can jump into that as well.
Okay.
So Yeah, I might. I mean, yeah. So that's kind of the page builder. It's going to take a little while to get used to all the different modules and that, but I just wanted to kind of explain the difference between what controls the header and the footer, and then what controls everything in the middle. So everything in the middle is controlled by Beaver Builder. So once we go ahead and set up our menu system at the top and then at the bottom, for your day-to-day operations, as far as going ahead and updating photos, updating images, updating content, it's all going to be done with Beaver Builder on this front end. So you will probably very rarely even go into the back end. If you're going to create a new blog, it's all going to be on the front end with Beaver Builder, and the way we set it up will be available. So when you do a blog, if we have it going to the home page, it's just going to go to the it'll just assign itself to the most current blogs. So I'm going to break this down a little bit more so you guys can just go back through and do these individually. And then the majority of our training now will just be on Beaver Builder in the front end here. Once we've kind of gone ahead and got everything installed for you. So let me jump on, change that back. I don't know if that was the right color, but it's cool. I'm just going to publish this. All right, well, Chance, I'm going to finish up with this live then, and then I'll just jump in and see if we can get this issue sorted.
Sure, just 1 second to share my screen or whatever makes it easiest.
Yeah. All right. Change that back. I don't know if that was the right color, but it's cool. I'm just going to... All right. Can you share your screen then, or do I need to give you access?
I think I can.
Yeah, just go for it.
So it says I can't while you're sharing.
Oh, okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Let me just